Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Frenzy Extra. Once again, Andy Lacombe, along with Jim Wilson, sports editor for the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, Home Team Magazine. Kevin Shea, sports director, Man About Town, here for Charter TV3. Great to be with you guys again.
It's always good.
We've had a lot of fun before this thing has even gotten started.
We're off and running already.
And so this should be a very quick 2 segments. But we'll start with, it is week 8 now, the regular season wrapping up, coming up this week. But we had some big ones in week 7
Huge.
that
Set the table.
turned some things around, or at least made some people think anyway.
You got to do some mea culpas here,
You might have to.
Going on a limb.
You might have to. I mean, let's start with Wachusett, Neshoba. And it was, not a surprise maybe that Wachusett won, but the score was a surprise, right, Jim?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Wachusett. It's my fault. I should. This is what I get for taking.
He's the accountant.
That's right. I'm going right there. I'm on a limb. I should. You know what? I'll pick against the Badlands on their homecoming.
Yeah.
That was my first mistake. That's on me. That's my bad. Because I think, like you said, I'm not surprised they won. They were a very good team. We said it last week. Both teams are great. But the fact they muckled them, let's be honest. I mean, it was a woodshed game for Wachusett, and Neshoba couldn't do anything. They wanted to do. They're a great typical Wachusett game. Grind the clock out, keep Wachusett on the field, and then that dangerous offense Neshoba off the field. And when they did get on there, the defense shut them down. I mean,
Wachusett's been on a reckoning
Yes.
since the St. John's game, right?
Well, the thing is this. Wachusett's built for this time of year. Wachusett's not a team that's built for September, when early in the season when it's 70, 80 degrees out. They're built for late October through the playoffs. They're like Green Bay of old in the 60s and 70s. They're built for cold weather when it starts getting windy and cold. You can't throw the ball as well. You can't field the ball as well. They're going to grind it out. They're going to play physical, smash mouth, straight ahead football. That's what they did against Neshoba. This Neshoba team, it's their first bad game they've had all year. Maybe their first bad game they've had in 2 seasons, 3 seasons. It's just they were flat. Neshoba was up. The Badlands were jumping. It was Halloween. They had a huge bonfire up on the softball field. And Wachusett came to play, and they came to play that physical. We're going to kick you in the mouth, and we're going to keep you down football. And that's what they did. That's why they won this game. They were physical.
Sam Brew goes down with an injury, goes out to the running back tree up on the hill, I think it's out past the baseball field. They got Aiden Tomaszewski, runs for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. What more can you ask for?
They have like a fullback tree at Wachusett. These guys are like fullbacks that run downhill. They're fast. Some of us are built for sweater season as well.
Just a bunch of fat
for the
kids.
winter. Just I like Wachusett. I like this time of year, Kev. We like to throw the sweaters
season.
On every now and then.
Apple picking season and sweater season, 2 of your favorite seasons.
I love it. Apple pie and football.
Cardigan.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is something. This is cheap from Kohl's. Don't worry about it. All right. So Tantasco and Northbridge was another one. You guys, we all had our say on that one last week. It's another number that, all right, Tantasco won, okay, but they really won this game. They pounded this game.
Northbridge was perfect going into it. I mean, you got to give Tantasco credit. Again, my bad. This is why I'm an idiot and love to be on the bulletin board. Ogilvy can go off on the rant.
You're fancy.
Harold Ogilvy. Harold Ogilvy's got you up there.
The fat face and Don Langer's pitches on a lot of boards this time of year. But heavy is the head, I guess. So it's like you look at that and say,
love it.
But I mean, like I said, what kind of Tantasco team do they have? Is it the team that just rebounded? I mean, they played Division III and they got their lunch handed to them. Doherty and Wachusett had their way. I mean, they had a lot of injuries with the Doherty game, but they still was lost to them. They didn't score. So and they played Grafton really tough. That was the eye-opening game. You should have jumped on the bandwagon there.
I did.
The way exactly. I'm a tough sell.
LaRue would come to your house if you didn't jump on the bandwagon.
That's fine.
He'll egg your house.
He probably would. Cowboy, stay away from my house.
And he's still got a good arm. He's still got a good arm, so he could be 3 houses away and still hit your house.
You'll never know what hit you.
100%.
No, they're good. Tantasco is really good. And, going into the playoffs, the biggest thing you want your team to have is self-confidence. And this Tantasco team has confidence in whoever they're playing, in their ability on offense, defense, and special teams. And that defense, you win in the playoffs with defense. If you can make a couple stops early, you can get momentum. It's all about field position, especially when the weather gets cold. And this defense is playing great right now. And by the way, the defense played great against Doherty. It was 14-0. That defense played awesome against Doherty, and that's a team that has talent. I've seen them play a couple times, just literally spread teams out. They got athletes that can go by you. They got tough kids that'll run right over you. I mean, they can beat you in so many ways. So to put a parachute on that offense, that says something.
Yeah, and listen, they got some young guys that are doing things too. And lunch pail group, this Tantasco team with with Gore and is it Sears?
Ryan Sears, 300
listen,
yards last
Sears may be shutting down their retail facility,
for you to use that
but not
Not
Sears. My man
Sturbridge.
is putting up 250 yards a
Not
game.
in
He's ready to
Fiskdale.
go.
It's like a Bill Doyle league.
All right, yeah, that's right. I'll take you right back old school. I got this at Sears. All right, so yeah, Tantascwa.
A nice wrench set with it.
Looks pretty good.
Socket set.
Maynard, let's talk about Maynard. All right,
Oh,
just
boy,
for a
boy.
second, let's just talk about Maynard because we're the fancy pundits.
Yep.
And we haven't talked too much about Maynard.
Yep.
They beat Littleton this past week. Big win, statement win for Maynard this week because it's like, all right, who you playing? All right, you play Littleton. All right, that's a good win.
Yeah, that's a huge
And so it's a big win for Harold Ogilvie and his group. And those camo unis, love those.
Sweet.
I would,
They were
I would buy one of those. Those are nice.
They're nice. Shea has 3 already.
Yes, they were awesome. I got the sleeves cut on all 3 of them. And I just do push-ups and then put them on.
The Ultimate Warrior
To take the
tassels.
trash out.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. But you know what? Whatever works to fire your team up.
Yeah.
And Harold had it. It was great. He was ripping the fancy pundits, us 3. And you know what, though? But it was great. He had his team fired up. They were ready to go. They had the camo uniforms. They had the Black Hawk helicopter doing a flyover. They had veterans there for the coin toss. And the kids came to play. And this is a huge game. I mean, Littleton, in terms of a team, is awesome. We know that. Maynard's awesome. They're separated by God's country, Acton. And these 2 teams came to play. Maynard came out on top. So going into the playoffs right now, Maynard has the edge. Littleton's looking for revenge.
Right. And you said every year Maynard plays who they play, but there's always that, we talk about Valley Tech, would they, if they had a wagon of a team, would they play better competition to show how good they are? Littleton's their one game where this is their show me game every year. They know the measuring stick is the Tigers because they've been so good for so long. So to have Littleton, have a good win over Littleton, this close to the playoffs, it's perfect. Yeah. They're playing exactly how they want to play.
And the thing is this, they only have 17 kids, sophomore, junior, senior. There's only 17 kids in the program. There's 21 in the 8th grade and freshman class. They don't have a freshman team. They only have JV varsity. But think about that. That's 18 of, it's like 38 or whatever it is, 36, that are 8th graders or freshmen. You don't count those varsity. And generally, you usually count maybe 2 or 3 sophomores at best as varsity players. You only have 17 kids, sophomore, junior, senior. And they're doing, I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible to be that good with that small amount, a group of kids.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's
like
it.
the old West Boylston teams.
Yeah, you're right.
Used to be
Holy
as
Name
well.
was the same
And
way.
Holy Name, absolutely. Any team Mike Pucko coached.
The Pucko Express.
Essentially.
The Pucko
right?
Express play offense, defense, special teams, never come off the field.
So what, if anything, did this do to the shakeup in the numbers? Tantasco's number 1 now in Division 4. They probably may not be there where the math is at the end of this week, right? The reality is Grafton could be number 1 after this week with the math, and they're number, 3 right now in Division 4. Does this do anything, this shakeup here last week? Neshoba, Wachusett, now is Wachusett a team that can kind of leapfrog somebody? There's a lot going on here for this final week.
It puts a lot of teams in positions where they want, it's basically, I always say to coaches who call and ask for the math, just win and let everything take care of itself. Because if you take care of your business, you don't have to worry about, if what happens on the field 4 towns away, you don't have to worry about because it's out of your control. Just take care of it because that's where you're getting teams jockey, and now the only thing they can just protect their turf. And okay, now we have like Tantascwa, the 1 seed. They can win, just hope that things fall their way for the rest of the way.
Do you ever, this is going to be a dumb question.
Harold set the DVR.
This is going to be a dumb question. I heard 2 people ask me this today. Do you ever consider resting people in week 8? If we fall from 3 to 4, we get a better matchup with the 1 seed.
No, I don't think it's a dumb question because look at Thanksgiving Day.
Thank you.
Right.
I think it's the same thing people do on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. If your goal is to get to Gillette, and that's the ultimate goal, and you got a couple guys that are dinged up in week 8, you're going to make the playoffs no matter what. What does it matter if you're seeded 1st or 4th? Okay, maybe it's a home game, but if you have confidence in your team and if you think listen, if they rest, if I give them an extra week of rest, they're going to be at full strength, I would rest the kid and get him at full strength for the playoffs rather than play him, get him dinged up again, and now have a kid at 60, 50% versus, especially if he's one of your studs.
Right. I think we all agree, though, when it comes to Thanksgiving and not factoring in the playoffs, Shrewsbury doesn't play Wachusett before getting into the playoffs.
You're right.
Leominster and Fitchburg don't play, and they're not playoff teams now, but that game could be for a playoff spot. This is the big thing that's missing.
The Mid-Wach title could be on the line.
The Mid-Wach title, we all get jackets. But I mean, it's not. There's never going to be a perfect system. But Thanksgiving is a little bit less because, especially in that Wachusett, Shrewsbury. I mean, those 2 teams should be playing the regular season.
Absolutely.
You need to play that team to get into that playoff spot, right?
Oh, that would be huge. Yeah, you absolutely need to play that. Regular season game, that's banged out. Regular season game, that is, whether it's at Shrewsbury or Wachusett, you can't park for 2 miles around there. Everyone's talking about that game going in, and it has playoff implications. On Thanksgiving, if one of the teams is going to Gillette, it's a scrimmage. It's a scrimmage.
I really just want to get him into the lollipop phase. That'll be for the second. That'll be for the second block. Let's take a quick break. We have much more coming up here on the Frenzy Extra. All right, welcome back. And all right, so week 8 is here. And we've got a couple of interesting scenarios to play out here the final week of the regular season. We'll start in Division 7 where Leicester plays Oxford. And very similar to last year where Oxford's in a playoff position now, might they be bounced if they lose to Leicester, a team that's played teams with more wins on their schedule. Big game.
Like I said last week, the Undertaker, they just rose from the dead. wrote Griff and those guys, they're done. And then the next thing you know, some of their losses turn into big, good point losses as far as what they're getting off 8-win teams, 7-win teams they're losing to, and Oxford doesn't get the points they need from their wins. They just their schedule. They're still the same thing as last year. Their program is winning now because they did the right thing and they scheduled lesser teams, so they're not playing Tantascwa and Auburn and those teams every week and just getting beat up. And at the end of the season, they have 15 kids to play. They're doing a great job rebuilding their team. But unfortunately, it's not paying off for them when it comes to playoff time, and that's the position they're in now. They could be 7-1 and playing non-playoff games again, just because they lost that one key game.
But what's nice is that they have the chance to control their own destiny on the field with that one big game, which is great. I mean, this is why, like you said, I agree with the system of trying to build the teams up, especially teams that are down, because otherwise you're in danger of losing an entire program. But what's nice is, what's in front of you. It's a one-game Super Bowl, essentially. It's a one-week Super Bowl right now. Win and you're in, and Leicester's thinking the same thing. This is our Super Bowl right here. If we win, we're going to be in or quite possibly be in. If we don't, well, then it was on us.
Right. Leicester had a great team last year. They ended up, I think with 47-27, they handled them.
Yep.
But Nico Murray last year ran for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw for another, returned a kick for a touchdown. He did everything he could to sort of make that win happen. Can Leicester withstand those blows again? I mean, because they're going to give the ball.
Well, the Oxford line's better this year, too.
Oxford line's
bigger. They're bigger and better this year, and they have more depth. Oxford has more depth this year than they did a year ago. So, Coach can put in some guys and rotate some guys on the line, especially. So in the second half, maybe they don't get worn down.
Right, but they're going to give the ball to Murray until his legs fall off. So I think Leicester knows that.
But Erickson can throw now, too. That's the difference. He's a more confident quarterback, and he's shown that he can throw. So if they put 9 in the box, 10 in the box, just stop Murray at all costs, just play action and dump it over the top.
But can Oxford stop Leicester? Can Oxford stop Merrow and Jack O'Neill?
Yeah. Well, that's the $1 million question. Who can stop Jack O'Neill?
Right. I mean, he makes some phenomenal plays, both sides of the ball. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a big key. And okay, if they put a parachute on Jack O'Neill, Bryce Gosling, can they stop it? Can Merrow, he can do it on his legs into the air. I mean, there's the problem. Does Oxford have the people to stop Leicester? That's going to be the big key.
You're going to have to put somebody like Nico Murray with size on Jack O'Neill.
Yeah,
somebody with some size or something like that. It's a big game. It's a lot of fun and a good one to watch. Leicester is clicking though, I think, right now, and Oxford is better than they were last year. Oxford also has some teams on their schedule that one has a few more wins than they did a year ago.
So
it's going to come down to decimal points, I think.
But still,
it's
a big ask for Oxford. All of a sudden, come off of Abbey Kelly and those teams, which are on the same level as far as rebuilding. To have to win, like I said, that mini Super Bowl against Leicester, can they answer the bell? I'm sure that the taste in their mouth last year is still, they know what the feeling is. They know what the feeling is to go in and play those 7-1 games in front of friends and family and know they should be in the playoffs. It's just not happening. So I think that could be a good driving point for them this year.
All right. Ironically, Auburn is in a similar situation as Leicester, but ironically, Oxford probably want to play Auburn now these days.
Cormier would.
Cormier would love to play Oxford.
Can't wait to schedule that game.
No question about it. But so Auburn plays Millbury this week, and that is a tall task because Millbury's playing great football, and Greenwich and Robles just tied a school record there for touchdowns. Right. Pretty good record there to have when you have guys like Tetzel and
that's the
great guys that have run Richards and that big his name escapes me, but
we'll get it in post.
The big guy, we'll edit this part out anyway. Don't even worry about it. But they've had some really good running backs there. Auburn's a tall ask for them to beat Millbury. They have to get it done. If they do, can they leapfrog Burncoat, who plays a school I've never heard of?
Hamden Hall.
In Connecticut. Oh, Hamden Hall, okay.
Which doesn't count.
And that doesn't count.
Breaking news,
they get no points.
But again, that's of no fault of Burncoat.
No.
Right.
It's Neshoba. Tell them why they...
It's Neshoba.
Tell the man.
Tell him, Hoss.
Speak to him, man.
Finally be having a Road Wars reference on. But it was, when Neshoba Tech abruptly left Central Mass, a lot of teams were scrambling for games. And Burncoat, this is the game they can find.
Right.
And it's just not Burncoat's fault. Sincata and his staff has been doing a great job with that team. Another team that's been, building. We were talking about a couple weeks ago how it's great that we're talking about in the playoffs. But unfortunately, the way the schedule dropped, they can only find Hamden Hall. The way it's a prep school from Connecticut doesn't count towards power rankings. So
because they're a prep school.
Because they're a prep school.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, they don't get any points from this game, so they're frozen. They'll still get points from other games around, the previous
opponents that they beat.
Their opponents, and they'll get the 2 points or 1 point based on what happened. But is it enough to hold off Auburn? Even if they lose, Auburn gets those points.
When I say
could conceivably lose and still get in.
You're right. I think Auburn, though, like Leominster, a lot better than their record indicates. It's one of those teams that if you look just at the record, you're going to get beat. You're going to get ambushed. If you walk in there and say, oh, look at their record, you're going to get ambushed because they're a much better team than their record would indicate.
They still got to answer the bell in one of these games, though. They don't have that typical
No,
Auburn,
that's true.
The statement game type of thing. Even a loss, they'll lose. They're losing to North Middlesex. Those games, like what happened? That score doesn't indicate the fact that they just checked out. And it's surprising for the Auburn. You haven't talked about that in 15 years.
But they got a Super Bowl here at the end of the season, a one-game Super Bowl, and they'll be up for it. In Millbury, Will. Ray Richards has done a great job.
Don't get it mistaken. Millbury wants to knock Auburn out.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's not going to matter to Millbury in the postseason. They're going to go. Auburn, they're not going to see him again. But Auburn has always been kind of like the big brother, and Millbury's the smaller school. The last couple of years, this is post those Millbury Super Bowl runs. Millbury wants them out.
Oh yeah.
They want it. This is a big game for Millbury.
3 touchdown win.
No question.
Make that statement.
When they see the kids at the mall down the road, they know who won and who lost.
It used to be the Auburn Mall. Now it's the shops at the Blackstone Valley or whatever it's called. Auburn could get in with a loss, 2-6. Food for thought. Division 5, Eastern Mass North. This is from the Frenzy research staff. Combined records of the teams that are in the playoffs in D5 Eastern Mass North are 26-28. And that includes Triton, who's 0-7 and going to the playoffs. So this is the system that we're in right now. All right, so
isn't it lovely?
It is lovely.
Lollipops taste great.
Let's quickly look at our Frenzy 5, and then we'll talk about some more big games. The Frenzy 5 this week, it looks, I think, relatively similar. Obviously the Wachusett win over Neshoba changes things for everybody. I have Tantasco at number 5. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
You just don't want LaRue.
I don't want LaRue. LaRue, stop calling me. No, I have them at number 5, and the reason is, right now, this week, they're the number 1 in power ratings in Division 4, which is a great division. So I'm going to go with them at the 5 spot. Kevin, we all have, by the way, Doherty, St. John, Shrewsbury, Wachusett, right? 1 through 4, and you guys have Grafton.
I don't learn. I don't learn from
slow learner.
My
teachers
would tough
say that.
Schedule.
Yes.
Great win last week. Good pounding. It's like one of those. I'm an idiot. What can I say?
No, but what's great is that these two teams will probably meet again in the playoffs. You know, and you hope that they will because it will be a great game. It'll be a game that you look forward to seeing. It's one of those games where you're like, I hope they play again. Like the minute they played this year, you're like, I want them to play again.
That's right. They all say about this playoff. Oh, you want to see rematch? Who doesn't want to see rematches?
I do.
These are great. You're getting the best teams.
See those two teams play and see Marlboro and Neshoba play again.
The last play, go down to get the pass interference call, bring it down to the 1.
Yeah, let them go. Let them play again.
Take the field goal team off the field. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I would love to see that game again.
I like it. Some of the other big games this week, Shrewsbury's playing Neshoba. That's a big game for seedings.
Let's see how Neshoba responds.
How does Neshoba rebound for that?
Let's see. Shrewsbury's playing a really big game. I'd love to, like I said, with seedings. Could happen. Marlboro,
St. John's.
Yep. Right. There's an outside chance if St. John's wins that game, they can jump Doherty, who's playing North Middlesex. Again, to get those power ranking points, who you're playing, where you're picking them up. They're going to get more power ranking points from Marlboro. With a win, they could feasibly, depending on what happens in other fields, jump Doherty for the number 1 spot.
I know there's at least one dad in Central Mass that does not want to see Doherty and St. John's on the same side of the bracket. There are brothers on both teams.
Oh, that's true.
And the household is divided right now.
Yeah,
so,
and there's cousins, too.
And cousins on both sides.
Pickens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this dad said to me, cousins are one thing. Brothers in the same house are
no,
a
that's
whole different thing. It's going to be fun to watch.
I can't wait. This is a great time of year.
No question about it.
Wish
Jim.
on Thanksgiving, but what are you going to do?
Thanks for coming back.
Anytime, man.
Appreciate it. And Kev, you were on point today. Right? Oh, you're going to stay with us.
Pepsi Max.
Woo, I'll tell you what. All right, Kevin and I are back in just a few to talk college football. Jim Wilson, we'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
We're back in a minute on The Fringe.